Hello and welcome to Dash Force News. Dash Force, the #1 Dash News resource funded by the blockchain. Welcome to the 10th episode of the Three Amigos. And you're going to have to forgive me for laughing right now because I've been laughing at Joel just before we went live. He's been in communication with Charlie on Twitter. So anyway, I'm Mark Mason and I'm here with my two fellow amigos, both Joel and Brian. And so Joel, what are you up to right now? Are you still banging away on your keyboard?
Yes, I'm busy being a Twitter troll. I mean, it's a good time. So, as Charlie
has joined the podcast via
live
Twitter.
From Twitter, from my Twitter notifications feed. So, Charlie Shrem is an early Bitcoin pioneer. Everyone knows who he is. He was contracted with the Dash network to provide a Dash branded and US available Dash debit card. And it was, I guess, due, a couple weeks ago, a month ago, something like that. And obviously delays and things like that happen, but there's been not a lot of good communication going on. And there's been a lot of like, oh, we'll get an update soon. And a lot of no update soon. And so for the last few weeks, we've been trying to get Charlie to come on right here, the Three Amigos Podcast, to tell us. Hold on a second. Just had to tweet at him real quick. Yeah. So we've been trying to get him on, and he has not been available to be on. So what we did now is I've noticed he spent a lot of time on Twitter. He's very pro-Bitcoin, very pro-Bitcoin, SegWit, all that stuff. Not a big fan of Bitcoin Cash and that whole area of the spectrum. So he's been tweeting, personal opinions. No one minds any of that, right? But on not liking Bitcoin Cash, right? And so I tweeted him, says, hey, why don't you stop hating on Bitcoin Cash for a second, give us an update. Got enough people to retweet it, got his attention. So yeah, now he's giving us live updates via Twitter. He said if he had an update, he would give it. He said he's waiting on approvals to start printing cards, and once he has them, he can launch. And then I asked him, well, what are the fees? And he said extremely low, and the card price is low. So I asked, do you have those figures? I said, nope, but I can get them. And so then I said, please do, the sooner the better.
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
Let's see if we can get them before the end of the podcast here. I've been asking only for I don't know how many months about fees, and that's the reason I did not vote for the card, because he didn't put any fees. And I said on, I don't know if it was the mod Slack or there, I was surprised at how many people did vote for him. And I kind of called people out in the mod Slack for being fanboys, everybody who voted for him without knowing all these things. So they don't really have a lot of room to bitch. Sorry for being so harsh.
Yeah, he could still deliver, by the way. So everything actually could be okay. It just might be the communication is just not great on his part. But,
well, you know what? There's an app for that. It's called Twitter. And we have the live Dash Force News, live Charlie Shrem debit card update brought to you courtesy of Dash Force News' online trolling expertise. So, yeah, we got an answer out of him. And I forget which. Let me actually read this notification I got. What's his name? Chris Weaver at Chris L. Weaver said, "Nice. All it took was a public shaming to get a weekly update."
Wow.
So, yeah, it worked.
Well, I kind of guess Charlie's probably not going to come on the podcast like now ever.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
I did prepare some questions I wanted to ask. I mean, I don't think he's a bad guy. It's just the thing is the community, you guys in the live chat, especially in the podcast, for the last 3-4 weeks, have been constantly asking us about Charlie, and it's our job to deliver. So for the last 3 weeks, we've been trying to reach out, and in the I think it was 3-4 weeks ago, we just tweeted him, surprisingly, to ask him to update the forum proposal, because it'd been like 16 weeks at that point since he'd not been on the forum at all. So, and he said, sure. And then there was no update. And then we asked him about, I thought, wow, okay, he replied. Why not ask him to go on the podcast while we're at it? He might prefer to give an update via video instead of having to write it all down. Some people prefer to do video updates. And he said, sure. And then unfortunately that didn't work out. And he said he had some wedding prep he had to do. And then last week, he said that he would be up for it. And then it turned out he was at the Freedom Fest and we got like no update and was just in the dark. And then since Monday this week, I've been bouncing emails with him constantly. He knows all the details. He knows what time it is. But basically, he said at the beginning of the week, he thought it may be his bachelor weekend this weekend. But he needs to find out from his best man whether he was going to be available or not. Yes. So I just felt like I need to be balanced and just say from his side what he's saying.
And so the excuse for this week is that he doesn't have an update. So he's going to give an update, then he's going to give an update, and now he has no update. Excellent.
So he says, I want the card launched more than you. I paid money to get the process started, and my reputation stands on it. So, okay. Yeah, that's true.
What was the due date? What was the due date?
Okay, so I've got the details in front of me, and I do think that the community is justified in asking these questions. So you can go to Dash Central to check out the proposal. Once this video is finished, I'll add it into the video description so you guys can see it. The proposal was added to the Dash Central on the 16th of March, and the proposal actually passed and was funded on the 20th of March this year. The key proposal terms were, I'm asking for 450 Dash, which will cover a 3-month budget. The cost will cover the following: initial one-time card program fee, 150 Dash. Development costs and maintenance, 75 Dash per month. Free customer support is 25 Dash per month. I estimate that I can get the cards into your hands in 3 months. After that, I can do a 6-month to 1-year proposal for program maintenance. I will also provide weekly status updates. So that's just the bread and butter of it. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think it should be very reasonable to provide some updates. It's
yeah. So basically, since the proposal passed, the Dash community itself, including Brian, has had many questions about fees, ETAs, all that sort of stuff, and everything has pretty much gone unanswered for too long now. And I think we've been too nice about it, and I think we deserve to know something. Anyway, so
yes. So let me be fair and balanced like Fox News here for a second, okay? So what we got going on is tends to be a very the Dash community tends to be very patient and very nice and understanding and all that kind of stuff. And I know recently I've written about, and it's been in the news, that Koinomi has had some issues with the Monero community being a little bit skeptical and hostile regarding the upcoming integration, right? And I'm not going to defend that, but I will come a little bit halfway and say there is something to be said for a ballsy and boisterous community, right? I think that one of the reasons that Dash Force was founded was to push back a bit on behalf of a community that's been a little bit too nice and has been a little bit too willing to be trampled in the past. And so, I don't know. Does someone want to shapeshift like Masternode into Monero and then send it to some of their trolls to say, "Hey, can you please troll Charlie for us and get our card?" Like there is a little bit to be said for a little bit of pressure, right?
I just worry because just looking at those key points again, this is just to cover the 3 months. After this, he's going to be looking for a 6 months to 1 year proposal maintenance program. If he can't provide weekly status updates now, would you invest in a service or get a card or something that you don't know if it's going to be kept up to date or whatnot? So it's just very disorganized. And the interesting thing is that Charlie's last activity on the budget proposal, was on the 19th of March, which was one day before he received funding, then nothing, right? And that is the place that he would be providing weekly updates. And yeah, it's been nothing. So it's hard to defend him on that front.
Oh, also, as well, Charlie says, okay, I'm trying to get on Mark Mason's show. Okay, want to send him a link?
Right. Yes. Right. Okay. There is no major.
Yes. So we might be able to get Charlie on the show, in which case I'll pretend I didn't just talk all that mad smack about him I just did. Or not.
Okay. Yeah, I've got an email from him.
Yeah, y'all were pretty savage last week. Yeah, my expectations are low to begin with, I guess. So I'm not sweating too much.
Right. I'm going to send this message to you guys in the chat privately because it's a bit unclear. So let's just keep talking. Keep going in the chat and let's just see what happens. Right.
Folks, this is as live as it gets, right? Just Three Amigos Podcast, completely unscripted. We just go on and get stuff done for you guys' viewing pleasure, right? And listening pleasure. You get to be part of it when it happens. So yeah, you're a part of history right here. This is historic. Whatever.
Right. Okay. Let's just be clear. We've got like an update from Charlie, but he won't be coming on the show today. But he is open to perhaps doing a video in the future. But yeah, he can't make it today.
Yes. So if he wants to, I could do a quick interview with him at some point this weekend and just let him tell me everything that's going on. I don't know if I'm the face he wants to see, but
yeah, let's just okay. Well, now we've had that response from him. Out of respect for him and confidentiality, I won't reveal what he said in the email.
All right.
But it seems like, well, obviously you guys can see.
I haven't seen it. Where's it at?
I've just sent it to you both in our official work Slack.
Okay.
But anyway, right. Let's move on. I think maybe Charlie might be watching because I think he understands that we're all a little frustrated with the situation. I can't believe we spent like the first 15 minutes of the podcast talking about Charlie, but it's what people want to know, right? And the problem is that the estimated time of delivery was 3 months, which was over a month ago. So I think people just want to know what the new ETA is. So without, and I think the confusion comes from Payzer as well, right? Because on the 21st of June, that big news came out that they added over 50 cryptocurrencies to their platform. And then to add to that, it's all snowballed where we've had people sharing screenshots in the Slack where they've contacted the live chat on Payzer customer support staff, asking if they've been involved with Charlie and asking if the funding that he received played a role in the integration of Dash, which they kind of rejected. So the big kind of question is, if Payzer is already offering Dash right now, you can use it right now on get a Payzer card. What will the benefit or the difference be with Charlie's card, apart from having different artwork?
Lower fees. Supposedly that was the whole thing. Lower fees, because there was going to be something originally about giving some money back to the master nodes, and people said, no, number one, you can't do that. And then he said, okay, well, I'll have the fees the lowest they can be. So the fees are the main question, or was my main question back then. Instant send integration was another one, which he probably doesn't control that. That's Payzer, so that probably won't happen, or maybe it will, I don't know. And then the third major question is the maintenance fees. How much is he going to charge for that? So we got to bust his balls on that.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie, if you're watching now, what I would suggest to you is one, you listed a domain name that you purchased for this proposal, and that domain URL is dashpaycard.com. However, it's still not operational, and people can only just speculate and guess what kind of progress you've made to date, let alone what remains to be done. So it is a big question mark. So
as Foxtrot has said in the live chat, if my girlfriend was that flaky, I would dump her.
Yeah,
there you have it.
I don't want to say it's your own fault getting this, but because I actually want the card. Paisley's based in the UK. I've actually put off getting a 10x card because I wanted to wait to see what the fees were on this. So this isn't a witch hunt for you. Like, I'm actually rooting for you, and it may be a bit of a vanity, but having the actual card branded with Dash as well, I'm a bit of a sucker for as well. So, you know,
10x may end up beating Charlie. We'll have to see. They'll both be months late.
I have heard some people with 10x cards have been able to pay with Dash. I have not looked too closely into what the details of that are, but it is Dash on 10x is working for some people right now.
Yes,
it did beat it.
There was a development update from 10x today. They do their development updates on the Medium social network, and in that they say with Dash they're still working on some integrations. They've got to do some testing. However, in that development update, they link to a video of a YouTube video of a German person with a card and their phone, and I believe they're buying like a coffee or something just to show. So there are people out there that have those cards, but I've heard through the grapevine that there's a shortage of the cards of themselves to get out. So I think there's a few select lucky people out there that do actually have the cards and running around, but I think for the majority of us, things are still being worked out on that front.
Yeah, they've had signups and they've had videos about signups. I haven't done it because I'm waiting for all the kinks to get worked out. Plus, as far as I know, it's not even available in the United States. I'm just going to wait until the word comes out. There's a waiting list or something like that, but I don't know.
Right, let's switch it up. Let's switch lanes.
Well, speaking of Dash branded stuff.
Let's finish being savage on. I got to be savage on Bitcart, and then we can get to happy times or whatever.
Okay.
So a Bitcart update. In the Slack, I know Dave Basil. He's been sending all kinds of messages to us. Bitcart, they definitely have their issues. They've had plenty of time to work them out now, so they've really got to get their act together because we have them on our website. Dash Racer, Scott has them on his airplane. And we've been seeing I've been getting a lot of messages in Slack saying, hey, this and that, and it's a scam and this and that. It's not a scam. They're scaling, but it's time for them to focus on their core business. Forget about the Festy thing. Forget about the debit card. Forget about everything. They need to focus on their core business right now, or it's going to get ugly for them. So I've had issues trying to get gift cards. Probably the last couple of times, it's been one issue after another. Whether it's a payment not confirming, this last one was the email didn't arrive, and I have to send tweets to them. I haven't even checked to see if they have a contact on their web page. I'll check that now because that was one of the old ones and people couldn't get a hold of them. So they need to drop everything else and focus strictly on getting their core business going, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, we should have got Graham on the show.
He's a fan. He should be.
He's probably watching. Hi, Graham.
Could be. Hi, potential Graham. That's a challenge.
Yeah,
I know. Obviously, they got a complicated business, etc., and there's some hiccups. It's another one of those things where they have frequently and accurately communicated that they've had DDoS problems and things like that. It seems
it's been going on for a long time, though. It's time to get that worked out. Yeah, they've had a lot. They've had plenty of time. This is it. They need to get it done now. This is the last, because there's lots of complaints. They really have to get it together right now.
Hey, Chuck Williams just joined in the live chat. Good to see you,
Chuck.
Also, as well, just before that,
Financial Turmoil Explained. Oh wait, no, that's someone else.
Yeah, Hans Luhmann asked, my 10x app shows coming soon when I press the button switch to Dash. When you actually have the 10x app, you you have to do the KYC. So basically you have to put in your address and all those details to submit it right beforehand. And then also to activate Dash as well, I was told that I need to contact support@10x.com as well. And then they will activate your account. But I do believe you need to provide that stuff first. Also, if you're on Android, because I'm an Android user, if you go to Google Play, check that if there's an update for the app. Okay, because I believe that step was meant to be overcome about contacting support. Now it should be, once you've provided that information, it should be then open to you. So, yeah.
I did check the Bitcart site. They do have a support at the bottom. I know they're over.
A lot of people haven't seen that new email, right? Because their current email doesn't work. I mean, their previous email doesn't work, and you can't respond back to it. And so a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it just bounces back. It's terrible." But down at the bottom of bitcart.io is support is bitcart@operaincubator.com. So if you're experiencing frustrations with Bitcart right now, email them at that address. That's their new email address. The other one doesn't work. And direct message them on Twitter. It works pretty well. I mean, it's annoying for people who aren't big into Twitter and things like that, but that's if what you're seeking is a resolution to your order or whatever, go for that, please.
Yeah, I'll keep ordering Bitcart Amazon cards and keep reporting back. Yeah, I know it is difficult to scale, and they're growing really big, so I'm still giving them a pass for now. But next week, man, they've got to get it together. They got to hire somebody, more people, and get it together. I don't know how they source the cards, as if they're doing 100,000 a month. It seems very difficult, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't understand the business model. But that's the service that they've said that they were going to offer, and yeah, they've got to do it. CoinGun.
Yes, and Chuck says DM on Twitter works well for me.
Yeah. So I just sent a message to the guys in the chat. I didn't want to interrupt the flow, but yes, I was going to say we should get Chuck on again, but it looks like CoinGun is going to come through in a few minutes' time and join us.
Nice.
If you don't know, people watching, if you don't know who CoinGun is, Jeff Smith, he is the network operations lead in the Dash Core team. And yeah, I believe as well, he has some interesting stuff to say as well. So tell us as well, some interesting stuff that he's been working on the side. So it could be interesting. Yeah. Right, let's talk about the price.
Well, hold on a second. I got this cool thing that I want to show off, right? It's my new keychain. See that? A little cute Dash logo, and it's a bottle opener. So I get to just double purpose it. And on the back is a wallet address. Yeah, so what happens is, I'm out eating with friends, and they're like, "Oh, can I pay you back for dinner or whatever?" I'm just like, "Week, there you go." So anyway, it's a cool thing. It's from CryptoMind. Mind is in mining. CryptoMind.com. It's a business that accepts Dash. The turnaround was probably a little over a month, so it's not exactly the quickest. But they have a lot of crypto-related stuff there, a lot of interesting stuff. And so yeah, I thought this was cool to show off. And if other people want to get something like this, go to CryptoMind. They take Dash. Woo!
Yeah, I guess you're going to have
to pay me for this message.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to trust them, I guess, if they sent you that QR code, because they could have the private key. And yeah, so just a warning. It's the public address, like a single address, and I guess they print it back on that, right? Yeah, so they could have the public or the private key, and if they were malicious.
So wait,
you didn't do it yourself.
Yeah, that doesn't. You can't extrapolate a private key from a single address, right? Otherwise, as soon as you send someone a payment address, they could seize your wallet, right? That's not quite how it works. So,
I mean, if they printed the public key on there,
wouldn't they have?
Yeah, they wouldn't have access to the private key.
No. They would just have access to one of the addresses that the HD wallet puts out, right?
If they created it, though,
they didn't create it. They just
created it.
Well, you can enter a public key, right? A cryptographic hash. You can enter there, put that into a QR code generator that just turns that address into a QR code. You don't have to actually have any other information other than the little address that's just
you got to trust. You got to trust that that's what they did. They didn't,
Well, not really, because with a public key, you cannot get to a private key from there. That's just it's going to be, it's risk free in that term.
I don't understand, I guess, because if I can generate a QR code for you, and I can print it on that thing and send it to you, but then I'll still have the private key, or I can.
Yeah, Joshua actually asked in the chat, Joel, have you gotten a QR reader to scan that successfully yet? Have you tried it out yet? Or?
No, but
try it out. Let's do it live on air.
Yeah, the thing is,
Should we do it live?
Well, probably not, because I have.
Hold it up. Let's see if I'll scan it right now. I'll send you some.
Yeah, you can send me a couple bucks.
It's not a bad idea.
Can you?
Shut up.
Can you read it from here?
If you hold it, hold on. It's. I'll quit talking.
Yeah, Chuck says hold it still, and I'm like, Chuck, you know what you're talking about. Come on, dude.
No.
You're moving it all over the place.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. There's a bit of clarity there.
Hold on. There we go.
Yeah.
That's as good you're gonna get.
Hold it.
Yeah, everyone knows.
I've locked it on Joel's screen, so it won't detract off. So.
Yeah. How many more seconds is going to need to be?
Yeah.
I'm getting tired.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's enough. Right. You can hold it now. Joe, you can put it down now.
Well, that was a fun little experiment.
I missed it.
It's not really a wallet I use very much. Oh.
Joshua says he did it, and Hans did it, and no, Chuck. Hey, Edward's just joined in. Hey, Edward, we Skyped the other day.
So a bunch of people got it apparently. Yeah, but as Josh said above, no trust needed. You give them the public key you want them to use. They print the QR code. You get the printed code. You can verify that it's what you asked for. Right?
CoinGun's on his wall.
Hans sent me a beer. He said, "Hi, CoinGun. I see blocks of Dash Scoop. Is this Flubber? I don't know. It's really retro."
Right.
Is his microphone working?
Well, I don't know.
His microphone's not working. He doesn't. He hears no evil. He speaks no evil.
You got to do it in mime, though. Be like,
yeah, I'm kind of mesmerized by what's got on his screen in the background.
Yeah, it's like a Flubber reenactment.
Yeah. Right.
He's got earphones.
I don't know if we're getting your mic.
Oh, no volume.
So, yes, thank you, Hans. I got your beer that you sent. It worked. Woo! Yes. So now people who can look up that address and see, this is and see which payments have been received and et cetera. That they bounce on that address. Now HD wallets work in a little bit of a different way, so that there's multiple addresses generated for the same wallet. Now there's what is it? I think I got to find which service it is, but one of them has a wallet guesstimation feature where they can actually have like a some sort of an estimate of what exactly is in a wallet, right? And so because wallet has multiple addresses now with HD wallets, right? But they can actually guess with some kind of certainty. And it's supposed, from a few people who told me, it's pretty accurate. So anyway, someone will know what I have in this little crap wallet here, but it's not very much. But anyway,
is Jeff's mic working?
I think we're just trying.
What is he doing?
Resolve that.
He's just on there,
just looking at us.
Yeah.
Just always watching.
I think it looked like he was blowing into the mic or something to the side, but it looked like he's kind of blowing us kisses off camera. So,
yeah, it's all right.
He doesn't look like he's even trying. What is he doing?
I think he's toggling through the settings. So
okay,
yeah. So we got you a little bit.
Something.
Crank it up a bit. The volume.
It was barely there.
Yeah, we had something.
Looks like he's got those cool little iPhone or whatever earpads or.
Oh, those wireless earbuds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff, say something. I think we got you.
Testing 1, 2.
Yay!
Oh, you have. You could have said something. Holy, you guys.
Excellent. How's it
Well,
going?
it's going great, man. I just got back from a quick trip out to the coast. Went and dropped off a kiosk out there and met up with some new dashers. So it's really funny. Like, not even a few years ago, you couldn't even find someone to talk with about Dash, and now this guy's got 8 or 10 people coming over to his house on weekdays just to learn how to download a wallet. Super cool.
Where is this at?
This is in Vancouver.
Mm.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I have one of my friends who lives here in New Hampshire. She moved from Vancouver. I got her set up with Dash, got her all interested in that. So yeah, it's another Vancouverite all up in there. There's a couple businesses in Vancouver that take Dash. Let me look it up.
Yeah,
yeah.
Do you have any ones that you could give a plug to? Because
yeah. Let me check it out. Discover-dash.com.
And before I
bombed
you guys, what were you right in the middle of talking about? What did I miss?
Oh, Charlie Shrem,
10x,
10x. Yeah, nothing
all
too
the
interesting.
Unpleasant.
We're complaining about stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
You're just being whiners. Yeah. So Aeon Data Recovery is in.
Oh, I think I've actually used these guys.
Ooh, nice.
I didn't pay with Dash the time I used them, but
shame.
Well, that was a few years ago, but yes, shame me, please.
Yes, and then Canada Water Ionizers is in Vancouver as well.
Sick.
And let's see.
Look at those. Boom.
Whee.
What is it? Is that the price? That's the
It's the blocks, right?
Yeah.
That's looks like someone mixing with tens.
Ah.
So we're
that's
seeing
a new
tens. Well, yeah.
That's prettier than that other one.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've even posted this live to anybody yet. We just have been working on it internally. All the blue and the white on Andy's one got to me.
That's pretty cool.
No offense, Andy. I love you, dog.
Oh, look at that. That's cool. I like that one. That one's really cool.
Yeah, I'll maybe drop a link for that later, but there's still some bugs. Like, we've made the stuff bigger and you can see like there's clipping on where that ball's on top of the block. So we gotta fix some stuff. It's not
cancerous. Like, if you see one of those in real life, it's probably gonna try to eat you.
And when it spins around at the right spot, the light makes 2 little eyes. So it looks like they're looking at you. Little blocks. Here, it's about to come. We're getting the second light in a second. Anyway, so what's going on? Has the world imploded yet? Do we have 13 forks of every coin?
Wow.
I haven't looked at the charts for 15 minutes.
But guess what? It looks like Bitcoin's going to beat Dash to a proper chain split. I mean, there have been tons of forks of Bitcoin before, but not like a proper chain split where you have balances on both. As far as I know, unless you know something I don't think that's ever happened in Dash. It's just been no coin has cloned all the Dash coins onto their new thing. So yeah, Bitcoin got the good old Ethereum treatment before we did, huh?
So I gotta say, this has been really something that's been on my mind a lot lately, is what this all means. And do you guys want to just take a few minutes to go around and talk about each?
Yeah. Let's talk about Bitcoin Cash. I mean, everyone's talking about it this week. So yeah, why not?
Do we have to go to /altcoins? Like, are we gonna get censored or something?
Not on the Three Amigos.
No, this is not Dash Nation Slack where Cal rules with an iron yet polite fist. No.
So the thing for me is, lately, as I've been looking and analyzing a lot of these markets, I've been struggling with being too rational. You know, Canadian guy, simple, want to be rational, and it seems like a lot of the outcomes that end up being favorable are like the irrational decisions. Like, if you had just made it an irrational decision, it would have fared better than the rational one. And so for me, just to start it off, I'll make the comment that the rational me would think that dumping all your coins right now, your altcoins, to buy a bunch of Bitcoin so you could double or triple up is a very interesting play. I think a lot of people are thinking about doing that, and I don't even think they realize what they're supporting when they do that. Like, I don't think they realize that by making that action, you're casting a vote essentially in this whole thing. And I just wanted to open up by having a little discussion about that, because I think a lot of people that are in this space are here to make a quick buck. And if they have a chance to hear about a double or a triple or a quadruple or a one turning into one BTC turning into one X,
yes, that's actually
H1XD, whatever BTU.
It's all being run by greed, right? So literally before we clicked live on the podcast, we was actually talking about this, because it's very hard to say what's going to happen. But if all of a sudden you think, we know on Reddit at the moment, people are trading Bitcoin Cash for up to $500, right? So
yeah, and current market cap stats, right? $425.67 for one Bitcoin Cash.
So are we gonna? That's XDH now. Is that what they're calling it, or XBH? I think that's what Kraken.
I think it's BCC.
Yeah.
Well, but Kraken released it as XBH.
Yeah.
On their exchange, anyways. So it's tough. Like that. What makes it even more confusing, because you're talking about Bitcoin Cash, but is it XBH? Is it BCC?
And not only that. And not only that, it's only some exchanges that are doing it. So, but some people think it's going to happen for them automatically, and there's only some exchanges actually going to support this split.
Kraken and Bitfinex are doing it. I thought about sending $100 or $100 Dash to play a little bit. I'm not going to break my masternodes or anything, but yeah, I may get a little action.
So I guess, and that's because I don't think they actually understand the whole. Like, if you've only got a cursory understanding of blockchains in itself, and you're just here for the money and the charting and stuff, you know, you might miss that subtle thing that by going and supporting this and not just everybody holding steady and seeing what happens.
Yeah, this is interesting to me. From my point of view, this is the end of an era. And I remember,
like, are we really going to be in the top 5 crypto, and 2 of the biggest ones are going to have multiple forks? Like, is there any chance a single, you know, blockchain can continue?
That's the thing. That's the thing is, in the past, it was always Bitcoin is the real one. It's the one that we do for business. All the other coins are just fun things to play around with, you know, just experiments. It's not real. And then Bitcoin started to slow down. A lot of other coins came out and started making serious traction, but still it was like, oh, people dumping money, speculating into Ethereum and all these ICOs. And it was still like, Bitcoin's still like the gold standard. But now that there's like I think people are very forgiving of Ethereum and its many hard forks, because they sort of saw it as an experiment, right? We're just figuring stuff out, but Bitcoin's the one that is old rock steady over there. Now Bitcoin's going to split in 2, and Bitcoin is not going to be special compared to any other coin. Now Bitcoin is just an altcoin again, sort of, right? Bitcoin is not that immutable sort of, you know, great, wonderful thing. It's now it has to compete on a much more even playing field. And I do think that network effects are always going to be a thing, right? As in the more users, the stronger the coin is, etc. However, I think that now we're going to see more currency competition, as Amanda V. Johnson likes to say. There's going to be more. It's less going to be fighting it out with the altcoins, and then Bitcoin's kind of above the fray. Now it's like, well, hey, Bitcoin, welcome to the Thunderdome.
Yeah. The whole 21 million thing is also blown out now. That was the whole, 20. There are only going to be 21 million Bitcoins, blah, blah, blah. Well, now there's going to be at least 42. Yeah, 42 million at least. So it's a mess. Yeah. It's a total.
Yeah. The elephant in the room is governance still. Like, people think everything's going to be resolved after the 1st of August. It's just like, it's only a matter of time. I mean, I think most of us here were in Bitcoin before. And, for a long time before it ran into scaling issues, and before, at that time, a lot of people thought back in 2012, 13, even the experts thought Bitcoin was anonymous. You know, it's crazy to say now, but it's true. But at that time, if you were a purist and you believed in it, it was great. It was only really when other solutions came along that were much faster than the 10-minute confirmation time that the sort of lights came on. However, if it's the pure form of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin Cash is going to have a block size of 8 megabytes, right? So basically, if you're a purist and you're into the fundamentals and everything, and you've been in Bitcoin for a long time, technically you should love Bitcoin Cash because it's the most simple thing for it, going.
They also tore out all the SegWit though as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's the purest, it's clean. It's just what it, But even in Satoshi's white paper, he said at some stage, that you're going to have to scale, increase the block size. So, but like I said, the elephant in the room is governance. Too many chefs in the kitchen. There's always going to be infighting. And I think what you said, Jeff, is going to happen. I think people are going to say, hang on a second, I can get 6 or 8 Bitcoin Cash for 1 Bitcoin. I'm going to start flipping and seeing what happens. And it's going to cause mayhem. And I'm worried that it's going to cause the market cap of all cryptos to go down, and we're going to go on another roller coaster.
Well, actually, I think this is nothing but good for Bitcoin and for crypto, because for the longest time there's been this fight over consensus. Oh, well, what are we gonna? Everyone's fighting over what Bitcoin is and should be, right? And the problem is, the good thing now is all these replaced by fee was a very controversial decision. A lot of people didn't like it, but there it is, right? And now Bitcoin Cash is we're going to get rid of that thing. We're going to do big blocks, not just 2 megabytes, which is what we can get away with. We're doing everything we want. And then now those people exiting the BTC space, going to the Bitcoin Cash space, will allow the remainder to now fully pursue off-chain scaling and other things like that. So everyone gets exactly what they want. Right?
Yeah, they still don't have governance. They don't have instant transactions. They don't have master nodes.
Yeah, that's not. Obviously, I'm not making the argument that it's any good, but it is the argument that it is.
Sorry.
It's good because there's not as much fighting anymore. It's now, instead of fighting, they're doing their thing that they're arguing about. They stop arguing. Now they're actually implementing the things they've been trying to argue about, and then the free market in action. Right? May the best coin win.
Yeah. I never thought I would see Blockstream say this. So you've got the CS. I retweeted this on my Twitter earlier. So you've got the CSO of Blockstream, and they tweeted earlier, there's no difference between allowing miners to choose Bitcoin consensus rules and being okay with central banks printing money. And that sums up Bitcoin completely, right? Because like I said, governance is still going to be the key issue here. And although it's not a complete replay of what happened to Ethereum, don't forget Ethereum Classic was the original, right? Who knows what's going to happen? Once again, look what happened to Ethereum. It got up to, I think, just below 2 billion of what close to Bitcoin, and then greed of all these ICOs ruined everything. There's still a lot of question marks on the Lightning Network, SegWit, in a lot of theorizing, saying, oh, if it comes about, it's going to resolve all these problems. But until it's implemented and it's fully working.
It's funny. I tweeted this out with this article about Bitcoin Cash that we wrote today. I said, now even Bitcoin has got its own ICO. Say it ain't so. It's nothing sacred. Because Bitcoin Cash sort of reminds me of an ICO in a certain way, because everyone's moving all their Bitcoin to exchanges that support Bitcoin Cash because they want these free tokens. They're getting onto the Bitcoin Cash token sale. It's the same old thing. It's pretty funny. It's this is what cryptocurrency sort of devolved into, and to a certain extent, yeah.
Or are we at the starting line for Web 2.0 or some better metaphor for that? But
that's evolution.
Well, the thing is, people are still speculating a lot, because crypto has done enough real things, not just theoretical, but enough real things to get attention as something that's legitimate in the long term of this evolution of human society. But it's still at the very experimental stage. And so all these ICOs are great because people have no idea what's going to happen. People don't know that, Bancor or basic attention token or any of these. They don't know any of those things are going to pan out in the long term, but it sounds cool and they're throwing money at it in case they're wrong, right? And we've seen that. I mean, Floyd Mayweather just he put out a Facebook status like pimping this ICO.
I saw that. That's crazy.
It wasn't a fake. It totally wasn't a fake. I looked at it and I'm just like, I mean, first, like for a second, I was thinking, what is he thinking? And I'm like, I know what he's thinking. It's like if he hypes this ICO, he's going to make a lot of money off of it. But it's like, what is it for? Is it going to benefit society? Probably not. But that's the stage we're in. Everyone is not only experimenting with crypto, but now they're starting to throw money behind it because they think, well, let's see which one pans out in the long term. So we're still at the very, very experimental stage, but change happens fast in this space.
Yeah, still the privacy issue as well. Jeff, I hope you don't mind me asking about this. We had a conversation a few weeks back, and Jeff's been a busy boy. And if you don't know a lot about Jeff, he's a huge, huge MMA fan.
Yeah.
I thought Brian was like crazy about MMA, but you're really, really into it, aren't you?
What do you think of John Jones coming back tomorrow night? I'm going to be there.
Are you going to be there? You're actually going?
Well, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to watch it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I definitely have a big passion for MMA. Grew up doing a little bit of training and just, always sort of paying attention. And, there's quite a big MMA fighter from my neck of the woods, Rory McDonald. And he's a guy that. Have you heard of Rory?
He's
good. So I remember his fight with Nate Diaz, right?
I think he's at Bellator now. Isn't he at Bellator?
Yeah.
He has moved over to Bellator, yeah, and along with some other really neat guys. And so I've always followed Rory, and it just so happened it was such a serendipitous little turn of events there. As I was standing in the security line at the airport waiting to get through security, and I was watching the TriStar Gym YouTube channel, and I'm a big fan of George St. Pierre, and George St. Pierre and Rory both share a coach, Firas Zahabi. And so I was at the TriStar Gym's channel, and I caught this thing, and it was Firas Zahabi talking about the Pure Victory Challenge or the Pure Victory Championships. And I just saw Pure Victory and Bitcoin. And I was like, what? MMA and Bitcoin? Like, I need to figure out what he's talking about. So I watched the video, and the TLDR is essentially he's starting oh no, let me back up a bit if you guys don't mind, because it actually got a little, I was actually reading Reddit to start this whole thing. I'm reading, I like to read /RMMA. I love to jump down that rabbit hole, and I listen to lots of Joe Rogan. So I'm reading RMMA, and there gets on to this. They're talking about how Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu matches are going to be banned in Canada because essentially there's no governing body for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they're going to outlaw all combat sports that don't have a governing body to look after them in the country. And I'm probably messing this up a bit, but I'll just keep going. So this is going to affect Firas and the guys in Montreal because they like to put on these jiu-jitsu tournaments. And if you go read about it, apparently there's quite a little bit of a feud between these Montreal gyms where they're each putting on these tournaments, and they're calling in and telling on the other guy that he's putting on a tournament without a right license. And so there's this feud going on. And so Firas has decided that he's like, well, I'm into Bitcoin, I'm into decentralization. Let's decentralize MMA. Let's just blow this out of the water. So he has an octagon, and he can have fighters come into his octagon and fight. And he decided to have what he started as the Pure Victory Championships. And that's 2 fighters enter the cage. It's unlimited time limit, but we're just doing jiu-jitsu. So it's just for jiu-jitsu. and he was paying them $100 in Bitcoin. That was essentially what I watched. I'm standing in the lineup watching this thing and going, $100 in Bitcoin. I was like, and then at the very end of the email, or at the very end of the video, it says, if you want to talk to us at Pure Victory Championships, send an email. And I was like, you know what? I can't resist this. Like, MMA and Bitcoin is crazy, but we also, if we're going to be giving away $100 in Bitcoin, we got to be giving away $100 in Dash. Like, it has to be happening. So I reached out to Frost and I just said, how can we make this happen? How can we be giving away $100 in Bitcoin and $100 in Dash to these guys? And he said, no problem. We text back and forth a little bit, got things sort of going. And, we went back and at this point, they had already released their first episode, the PVC001. And so we went back and paid that fighter that won his $100 in Dash. And then we paid the second fighter as well that won their $100 in Dash. And I shot Frost some Dash and just said, hey, pay attention to us. We're up and comers just like you guys are. And, there could be some synergy here, just would love to keep this going. So far I haven't done anything more with it beyond just the, initial introduction and starting to comb the relationship and really just, starting to connect the dots here between MMA and Bitcoin or Dash or any really digital currency. Because the thing that I love about MMA is that it can be so rewarding and so emotional. And I think you get a lot of that same feeling in this space too sometimes, is that reward and that emotion. And one of the things we always say is, you get rewarded in this space for being prepared. Just full stop. Like, being prepared is so important in the entire digital currency space. A lot of people don't take the time to just be prepared. And whether it's in MMA or whether it's in anything, and seeing these two blend together, just being prepared for when this really takes off. And I had this vision, what if we could have, QR codes on fighters' shorts, and they had a really good first round, and we got people, tipping the fighters, and there's like a little clock down in the corner, that could count up like, wow, that was a $10,000 round. Like, what a crazy round. And then, Frost's idea is completely different. And everybody that I talk to about it has another idea. And so it's really cool to see where it goes. I do encourage all of you guys to head over to the TriStar Gym channel and look for that Pure Victory Championships. Episode 1 and episode 2 have seen about 30,000 views so far. Dash is mentioned in episode 2. It's only verbally mentioned. And as we go forward through episode 3 and 4 and 5, we should be able to get some images in there and stuff. But it's just so cool to be a part of that and to connect the dots with Faraz and have it all start through that common thing, Toshido submission fighting. And yeah, it's crazy.
The connection is pretty good. I mean, full disclosure, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go off and teach Taekwondo, and my students pay me in Dash. So
is this thing covered? Is it sponsored by Core, or is this just you, Jeff?
This is just me. This is just something that I've been really passionate about, and I didn't want to complicate things right now with doing a proposal and stuff, but I wanted to make sure that we didn't lose the opportunity to get, TriStar Gym has 100,000 subscribers. Some of his videos with Floyd doing analysis on the Floyd and Connor fight have seen hundreds of thousands of views. So just the opportunity to get in there, I wanted to move quickly and hey, what's a bit of Dash between friends, right?
How big do you think this can get? Like, because there's the 2 episodes at the moment, but there could be, I could see this easily going to a separate channel. Do you know if there's any plans moving forward to really propel this forward? Because we've kind of seen rap battles and stuff going from events to events, places on YouTube and stuff as well. Perhaps this is the new way of moving forward. Although it's not full MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but
it literally gives me goosebumps thinking about that. But I don't really feel that it's my place to say. This was originally Faraz's idea, and I would like to hear first what his vision is for it before I start sort of clouding the thing with my geeky take on it. But maybe that's a future episode that we could do, is we could try to get us all together and talk about the potential of what that means, because MMA and digital currency, there's actually a lot of similarities, believe it or not, at least for me. And bringing those two industries together, I think that we've got a really big chance. Like those industries are, if you look at the growing sports and what's about to happen on August 26th, some of you might have seen my tweet a few days ago referencing that. Hard work and dedication may or may not pay off, and I think we can all take something away from that. I was chatting with someone about the fight the other day, and they're like, yeah, did you realize that, like, Floyd Mayweather, he's so rich that he literally never wears something twice. So like every morning he gets out of bed, he puts on a new pair of boxers, a new pair of socks, wears a new pair of shoes. Yeah.
Pair of boxers.
Dink. And this is, I didn't verify this, so maybe someone can look it up that's far googlier than I, but and we were just talking about like how ridiculous that must be to get to a point in your life where literally you're just like every day you're just like start like fresh.
Yeah, I mean, Mark must deal with a lot of itchy underwear.
Yeah, I guess. I think Mark had brought up this Bitcoin thing before. Was it you that sent me the private message? Yeah, I'm sure Dashforce could throw in $100 if that's. I'm sure the guys would agree.
Screw that! I want a Dashforce Octagon ring, whatever you guys call it. I know. Look, admittedly, I put my hands up. I've seen a few UFCs. I don't really get it. But TriStar, my understanding, is like the #1. I mean, I recognize that from doing the stuff with Dos Santos.
So TriStar is one of the bigger gyms in Canada. Obviously, being Canadian, I'm repping the Canadian guys, and the potential is just ridiculous. Like you think about, especially in terms of Bellator and sponsorships, like when you think about the fact that, Bellator doesn't have a deal with Reebok like the UFC does, and fighters are still able to get sponsors. And then you look at a fighter like Rory, who's got an upcoming, fight or potentially even title fight, and for it to be able to be like done, like a Dashforce mat or something like that that's actually really even plausible. Like we can barely get $100 from the Bitcoin guys to sponsor these guys. Like I want to just say, screw it. Let's give them $100,000 prize and let's make this thing like you were saying, Mark, like how big could this be? This could be like orders of magnitude bigger than that. But again, I'm going to fly out and see Firas, whether it's in Montreal or down in Vegas. And I want to sit down and really make sure that we capture his vision, because that's what got me here. And I think it's important that we let him control that before we get too much further.
Here's another thought, right? This is my brain always just going to weird places. What if we got some sort of MMA gym or network to get together a masternode, right? They just collectively own a masternode, and then the payouts to the masternode end up going towards paying the fighters.
I like that.
So you have a consistent. Then you have an MMA gym that is an active participant in the Dash network and uses that to fund its own fights and stuff. And you don't even have to spend money on that. You just like plug your money together, right? You just all the owners of the gym just kind of like have Dash, and they pool it into a node and then free money, right?
It is feasible. There's only 3 days left to vote. Only 56% has been taken. The total available budget for this month was 6,651, and so far 3,787 Dash has been taken. So it could be done.
Let's do it. Let's do it next month. Next month, let's do it.
Yeah, I don't think they're, that's why I said I didn't mind sponsoring it myself initially. I'm putting up the Dash to sort of on behalf of the network per se. you know, how that works out in the wash. Gosh, the Dash network has taken care of me. I have no problem getting this rolling, you know, without doing the proposal. But you know, I think to go to the size and the level that we are all probably tossing around in our brain, you know, there is some significant thing. But if we did it, I mean, you know, my mind goes big. My mind says, like, let's get them enough money to form the foundation they need in Canada to have a jiu-jitsu federation that bodies them all, and let's help solve some of these bigger problems. And out of it, if we get some other things like that, that's great. But you know, there's a lot of kids in Canada that would love to do jiu-jitsu and are going to not be able to do that simply because of these really weird things going on. So yeah, you know, we should put our heads together, and thanks for bringing it up, Mark. It's something that I'm constantly going over, and you know, it's nothing been more relevant now than, you know, as I was listening to Ariel Hawani on the MMA Hour, you know, going over the data, getting ready for this fight, and the weekend, the fights that are coming up, you know, tomorrow are just going to be insane. You know, they're saying best fight card of the year, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, me and Mark had been talking about the QR code on the pants or the shirts or anything for quite a while, since he did the Dos Santos whole thing when he put that together. One thing I just thought about, I was also telling Mark about the Reebok deal and how we couldn't, you know, do the sponsorship on UFC, but I just thought of a loophole. And I've been seeing it a lot on my YouTube feed, and that is the EBI, Eddie Bravo International.
Oh, yeah.
We could sponsor that. We could get around the Reebok thing sponsoring Eddie Bravo's thing, and because that's on the Fight Pass. That would be huge. UFC Fight Pass, Dash sponsorship somehow in there.
Help me out. It's Eddie Bravo? That's the guy that goes on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah. We'll go to who screams about UFOs and chemtrails and things.
Theories. Yeah.
Ninth Planet Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah.
Okay, so
10th Planet.
So what's the story? He's got his own YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, podcast, and he has an event. He does the jiu-jitsu just like they do, like they're in Canada, except for it's on UFC Fight Pass, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. Yeah, he's a cool dude too. I like Eddie. Eddie's a good guy.
Yeah, no, I think that's the exact kind of idea. You know, we'll toss it around, and you know, like I said, I'd like to see, you know, and make sure that we're here to support Firas and his vision too, because Firas has, you know, done so much for the sport and given out so much of his own effort. I would really love to see, you know, some people get behind him and help him with the vision, because a lot of these things just take resources, and it's the one thing that we have here is we have resources, and it's just a matter of connecting the right people and you know, yeah.
I say we do it all. Eddie Bravo, Canada, Bellator. Those are three big ones.
Yeah, those would all be super exciting to get involved with, and you know, we're only a few steps away from the players. You know, I'm sure Firas knows Joe, and I'm sure Joe, you know, knows Eddie, and Eddie and all these guys are, you know, we're a few steps away. So we'll see how it goes. It's been organically developing, and you know, so far I've just been letting it go, not trying to push it too hard. You know.
Yeah, and it's important to note that Andreas Antonopoulos was on Joe Rogan's podcast a while ago, so he's very familiar with what Bitcoin is.
He's actually been on twice, and I don't think he's ever had anybody on from another crypto. So, you know, for me, I actually have a lot of passion that I share with Joe as well. You know, we haven't talked about my passion for hunting, but I have a really big passion for hunting, being a Canadian, you know, and being able to go out into the wilderness and harvest an animal and feed my family and do that whole process where
you know that my parents run a hunting ranch in Mexico, and I'm pretty sure I know they own Dash. I'm pretty sure you could pay for a Coos whitetail hunt in Dash.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, that is sick. And so I've been hunting since I've been a kid, and it's always been a big passion of mine, the wilderness. And so, you know, when I see hunting and MMA and digital currency and how this is all coming together, it's, you know, it's always been a dream to connect some of these dots, and it would be really cool to see that happen, see that come to fruition. And what better guys to do it than you guys and us, and you know, it's just a whole mishmash of neat little things, how it's all gone. So.
Yeah, it's we're on the verge of breakout. Once you have people like Floyd talking about ICO, like just talking about crypto, then a lot of people have seen that, right? Probably 90% of the fight world is aware that Floyd has been talking about some weird crypto thing. And so all of that's the groundwork, right? All you have to do is just light that little match and then set off the crypto fire, right? Just someone has to approach any of these people in the fight world and just say, hey. So
well, not only that, but like if Floyd's holding up a check for $100 million saying I haven't cashed this baby, someone might want to tell him that, like, that's not the real money that's on the check there. Like, if you wanted to hold up $100 million paper wallet, you've got my attention. That's actually the money. And for these guys to move some of their wealth into crypto or into digital currency, it might actually make their lives a lot easier. Because then at least when they did a stunt like that, like we could give it some
losing out to inflation, stealth tax. Anyway,
yeah, you could just say that's not even half a masternode at this point.
Yeah, let me say one thing. If somebody holds up a QR code that says Dash in any of the Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor stuff, Dash Force will send them $100. If you hold up that sign and it's seen during the main event, $250. It has to say Dash and the QR code $250.
Oh, easy! I'll match that. That'd be
and everybody. Yeah, it'll be tens of thousands.
That will be very rich.
See, Jeff, I don't know if you saw the podcast last week, but we were sort of toying with the idea of the Janet Yellen Fed, where people was like, buy Bitcoin. We're saying, how much would we pay someone to go on like live TV and hold up a sign? What would they, like $1,000? I said I would happily give like 1 or 2 Dash, because the return on investment would be, through the media, be so much better. Anyway, I don't want to ignore the live chat, and we had a question a while ago from your core team member, your pal, your buddy, Chuck Williams, and he says, ask Jeff if he would support a Dash sponsorship proposal for my sister, Lindsay Wonder Woman Williams, MMA fighter. So it sounds like you need to talk to Chuck.
No way. Unreal. Yeah. Chuck. That's sometimes I forget to just talk about all this other stuff that I'm into, right? Because you realize that, like I didn't even realize some of you guys are MMA fans, and so yeah, not only would we want to help her out, Chuck, but let's get her out there in Montreal and get her hitting some mitts with the TriStar boys. There's so much potential here, and I mean MMA, like you look at the whole millennial group of people, not to call them out, but a lot of that generation has a lot of problems with confidence and a lot of problems with the ability just to live life, right?
The instant gratification generation.
Yeah. Finish your thought, because I have a big point on that one.
And yeah, just to finish my thought there is that, MMA for me, it has always been something that grounds you, and that reminds you that there's steps to building things, and there's you have to put the time and the effort in, and these are things that I hope my kids will learn, and I hope the people around me learn, because I was on the drive home, and just to sit for an hour or two without a phone, and just be alone in my own mind. Like some of these kids, they got to have a fidget spinner just to sit. Like, can't you just sit there?
Yeah, be alone with your thoughts. If you're alone with your thoughts, it's a scary time. I was had trouble sleeping last night, and I went for a 4-mile walk at like 2 a.m. just because clear my head. And yeah, it does. You come to a lot of conclusions when you do that, right? But I was thinking about the millennial thing, and more particularly the lack of conflict. If you notice, and what we do here at Dash Force, the first thing that we started doing before we started doing news and all that other stuff is the troll patrol. We started going online and pushing back against some of the more vitriolic trolls and more disinformation out there. And so we're intimately aware that the cryptocurrency universe is full of a lot of, trolls, for lack of a better word, right? And I think there's a reason for this, and it ties into MMA. I've noticed a lot of the more hostile interactions I've had have been with nerdy guys, right? Guys who spend a lot of time and effort and things online and have never had that kind of like real world exposure to conflict, right? And there's just something about everyone I've known, the more badass of a fighter they are, usually the more chill they are, the more just relaxed and just easygoing and nice, because they get all that crazy pent up natural ape-like aggression out on things. And more importantly, they know other people. They know, oh, if I mouth off to this guy, there's a good chance he might blast me in the face, or he might get me into a triangle choke or whatever. This might have real consequences. They understand what conflict is. And then there's people who have never had to deal with, especially physical conflict, who have just all this pent up, like raged conflict. They don't know they don't understand the harmony of beings. They don't understand that there's other people out there and they could possibly hurt you based on this. And then there's and they also don't quite feel secure in they don't know why, but they don't
Rogan talked about that. Yeah.
They don't quite feel secure in their own personhood, and because they have impulses telling them they should be warriors, they should be strong, they should be fighting, and they're not doing that, and they feel frustrated and don't know exactly why. And so I think that a lot of this like Bitcoin scaling debate, a lot of this online trolling, all this kind of stuff, a lot of this crazier stuff could probably be averted if we got the crypto community as a whole to work out and train in combat sports. And then we'd have a much more peaceful ecosystem. I'm not even kidding that. It sounds like an oversimplification, but I really think that would help a lot.
Hunting and stuff like that too, yeah.
Yeah, and so another passion of mine beyond MMA is playing games. I'm a gamer for sure, and I love playing Counter-Strike. That's my game. You talk to me about any other game, I don't care. I'm not even listening to you. But talk to me about Counter-Strike. We're cool. So
I was back in the Unreal Tournament days, but I kind of dropped off after that.
Oh, I've been playing CS since university, but to that point is I'm also a dad, and sometimes my time is limited. So when I have an hour or two at night and I get to sit down and play a game, especially with Counter-Strike, you're paired with 5 other people or 4 people on your team and 5 on the other team, and you're with those 4 people for 45 minutes or an hour. And every match, 2-3 matches, you get these millennial kids that are just, you can tell that they've either never had any aggression in their life at all. They've just got all this pent up emotion, and they're just like screaming at you through the mic, and they're just like trolling you and making fun of you. And it's like, dude, I know you're not in a spot in your life where this hour actually matters to you, and you have other hours where you can just troll and stuff. But for me, like, I just want to have this peaceful time to play my game or do whatever. And I always say to these kids, I'm like, sometimes I just wish like your mother could sit beside me with a headset on.
Where are you going with this?
No. I wish your mom.
No, your mom. I wish your mom was right here, right down here.
I wish your mom was here right now.
I wish she was right here beside me just to hear you. Because honestly, like if my mom heard me say some of these things, I would be uniquely disappointed with myself. Like, is there no morals? Is there no, like some of this stuff people will say online, it's crazy, and it's coming from people who in the real life won't even look you in the eye and say hello to you.
Some of it's the parents' fault as well, though. They give them some Ritalin and some Adderall, and they put them in the room with the video games, and yeah.
So what you're saying is, Jeff, is that we need to set up a specialized Dash Twitch channel or gamer group, right?
So we've got that Dash Gaming. We've already got the twitch.tv/dash.org.
Have you really? Are you winding me up?
We've got that. We did the live stream for Phoenix on that. But what I've failed to do is I've failed to find a group of kids that we can get behind and we can launch Dash Gaming, because we've got all these millennials. Yeah, well, I just want to get all these millennials out there doing something, because half of them won't even come to work. You can't even get them out of bed to come to work. But you give them a video game and they'll play it for 24 hours.
Well, so
we got to figure out a way to monetize these poor kids.
I have an idea, right? So, a friend of mine. So I used to live in Phoenix, and when I did, I was an instructor at Squaw Peak Taekwondo, and one of my co-instructors, a few years younger than me, was just he looked like Harry Potter. It was like a really nerdy guy, but he was a professional gamer, right? He was the top-ranked Halo 3 player in the world at one point. And the only reason he didn't get that 6-figure contract to go play is because he didn't like teamwork. He didn't like working with other people because he thought they slowed him down. So, point being, he had some bots he used to run on I think it was RuneScape, right? Where he'd have them mine gold in game while he was away working or sleeping or whatever, and he'd go sell that on the actual market. So that's sort of like mining cryptocurrency. So he was doing that kind of stuff. And anyway, think about the whole competitive gaming thing. What if you assigned Dash bounties to whoever won a match, right? You just throw in some Dash, right? Oh, you have $50 in Dash. Whoever wins, first place gets $40, 10, worth, and then second place gets 10 or something like that, right? And then just have them duke it out, and then they get that. And then there will be certain games, like elite games, that you need to buy in order to participate. It's almost like gambling, except you're gambling on your own skills. And then you just throw in, you got to throw in $10 in Dash to entry fee, and then you walk away with like the whole pot if you win. Then you get people just getting all this Dash. How about
me, the tired dad who just wants to play an hour with 3 other guys that aren't assholes? How about we all just pay our 10 Dash or whatever to have our own little adult section that's anti-troll?
Yeah.
Like there's so many potential
Dash
options
swear
there, right?
jar. Think about that. You gotta get, if you swear, you forfeit your money. If you call someone like any kind of number of immature thing, you forfeit your money.
If you mention Monero, you get a fine.
Well, what I've realized is I've played Counter-Strike for over a decade, and I probably have still never really played more than about 10 actual matches, how the game's supposed to be played. Where like someone's doing one role, someone's doing utility, someone's, an op or whatever, that it's not the game that you end up playing. And it's a metaphor for a lot of things, I'm sure. But, sometimes I just want to play the game how it's supposed to be played. Sometimes I just want the rational thoughts to work out. And I wake up. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was just looking at the news.
Yeah, there's another ICO I've never heard of in the top 5.
27 million people watched the League of Legends World Championship on YouTube, I believe, which was more than the World Series or the NBA Finals. What is going on?
Yeah, Major League Gaming is, I don't know, people, that's the thing, is people don't, the mainstream is not that mainstream anymore, if you think about it. But, one thing we're going to have to wrap up here pretty soon. One thing I'd like to just to end with for my contribution is we're talking about the whole MMA thing and the physical thing. And crypto is kind of the other flip side of what you call freedom, right? Because once you have that physical thing, once you know you understand physical conflict, it comes into your life, you know how to deal with it. You're not as afraid of people anymore. You're much more at peace. And the other side of it is the financial thing. Is a lot of people get really intimidated about finances, about working hard, making an income. Are you rich enough? What does your car look like? A lot of people get all like weirded out about that, and then how am I going to?
Joneses.
Yeah, they just get, especially younger people. They're born into this world it's sort of like a pyramid scheme that a lot of older generations have all the establishment skills, have the education, don't have all the student debt, etc. And they're way at the bottom, and they just want to work on their screenplay while working at a coffee shop or whatever. Like they don't even imagine being able to afford a home or children. And here we go with Dash and cryptocurrency with financial freedom, true financial freedom offered to people at a way that's accessible. They don't have to deal with all the banks. They don't have to deal with all these loans and mortgages and all these other things. There's so many more avenues for their specific skill set to provide them with financial freedom. So in that way, Dash and MMA are very close together, and that they both provide different elements of freedom to people that that desperately need it, and can really make a difference in a lot of young people's lives.
I wonder why, like, the cryptocurrency in general hasn't taken off in the video game world with like the World of Warcraft and all that stuff, because they'd have their own fake money.
I think it's just fragmentation. I think there's just too many people trying too many different things. Like WoW doesn't want to release their in-game market, and Steam wants to keep the store, and there's all these sort of things that are already going on, and we just weren't mature enough at the time to kind of do it. So it would be a perfect match. Like, it's easy to do the whole, you know, like when Digibyte first came out, you know, you'd play a couple matches and you'd get a Digibyte per kill or whatever. And, you know, but then they made them expire at the end of the day if you didn't claim them, and this and that. And like, so no slag on them. I just mean like the fact that this is working. You can have a crypto, or you could pay someone to play or whatever. But I think to make a bigger difference, or we have an opportunity to make a bigger difference, because again, the barrier to entry for us is a lot lower. So we could approach someone and say, hey, we want to start a Dash Gaming foundation in Canada, and we want to commit to having places for these kids to go. And if they're going to be passionate about gaming instead of basketball, then let's get them on a WoW team, or let's get them on a League of Legends team, if that's what it is. I don't know, like, but you know, Mark, and as I hang out with you guys, I'm encouraged to think bigger, because sometimes it's not enough to just sponsor an event. It's like, no, let's set up the foundation, or let's put the funding in place in Canada to have the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Foundation, so that Feroz and the guys in Montreal can have a sanctioned BJJ match, and they don't have to resort to filming a decentralized MMA match, you know? So
yeah,
sky's the limit. Yeah,
that's the thing. This is bigger than everything. Like, the actual crypto is very small compared to what you can do with it, which is why Bitcoin, which literally just does one thing, said this amount of things to there. That's literally all it does. It's not some fancy Ethereum-like thing, but it's already had a bunch of interesting use cases. It's all in the use cases, right?
Yeah. Oh, we're fixing to wrap up. There's somebody's phone's dying. We're fixing to wrap up, but I wanted to get Jeff's opinion, if he wants to opine, about the Charlie Shrem situation.
Oh gosh.
You can no comment if you want. I understand you.
Well, what do you mean, the Charlie Shrem situation? Like, just the fact that everybody wants an update every 5 minutes and they haven't got it or something? Or an
update.
That there was a situation. But what have you guys been struggling with from your side?
I guess you'll have to look at to rewatch the beginning of this whole thing for complete context. But basically, it's been over a month after the estimated delivery date, and there have been pretty much no updates, no anything like that. And finally, today, I tweeted out, "Hey, Charlie Shrem, stop hating on Bitcoin Cash and update the Dash community about the debit card you got paid to deliver long ago." And then we had this long little like Twitter war sort of thing going on since then, which has been pretty much resolved. But he's basically.
Has anybody tracked the funds on the blockchain from that proposal?
No.
Have they moved?
He said he paid a lot up front for this thing, so I know, according to him, he's paid something. I don't know if it's from those funds or if those funds were going to reimburse him for having paid. But anyway, basically, there have been very few updates since it's been past time. And so he says that he's waiting on MasterCard to give him all the updates. He doesn't want to push him too hard. And so I guess we'll have to wait for an update.
Doesn't make sense, though, because if pays have already accepted...
Well, I won't comment. I don't want to comment directly on Charlie's situation, because I think that is Charlie's thing that he needs to make a direct comment on. But the issue in itself, you know, I've been around long enough in the Dash community and in the Dash ecosystem to know that sometimes the FUD is FUD and sometimes the FUD is real. But I often want to take time to process all the information and do things such as go to the blockchain and find the proposal address, have the funds moved, are they still there? Because honestly, if he put a bunch of money out of his pocket to do something for us, accepted the Dash and never did anything with it, you know, he might not even be even in the wrong yet. Like, so everybody's so eager to jump on these things and go, but I'm also a realist and a business owner, and I understand that things do take time. Like, for you to set up a new corporation in a country, and for you to have a shareholders agreement, and for you to have the things you need to kind of move forward in the other side of the world, those things take time and they take money, and they're not always under your control. And, you know, we have seen in the past some times where things that are outside of people's control end up kind of tripping up their progress. And, you know, communication is always something that needs to be improved. I think, you know, you guys are one of the few sort of crews that have really taken that to heart and really try to be there all the time to answer, but not everybody can do that, and not everybody's life allows for that. So I haven't really, you know, yeah.
Here's an interesting thing to think about in that context, right? Is, I mean, obviously we've been in the crypto space long enough to know that things go awry sometimes and stuff, right? And there's also, because these are network effect technologies we're engaged in, right? It's not just, well, we have a tech. It's like the tech is also the humans that use it. Community is extremely important, and that's one of Dash's competitive advantages, is its positive community, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's a interesting thing to think about, right? Anthony Diorio, also known as Charlie Shrem's boss, has been extremely communicative with the Dash community. There's been all kinds of issues with, you know, the wallet, and then bugs, and then Apple not approving their fixes to the bugs. And before then, it was just Apple not approving their wallet, or Dash in the wallet. And Jax has been, to their credit, I mean, whatever else you want to say about Jax, you have to give them credit in general for being very communicative to the community, saying, hey, Anthony here, just to let you know, this has happened, this is a problem, this is what we're doing about it. They've been very hardcore with customer support. And all that's really I mean, the Dash community is pretty chill, right? Is pretty reasonable, chill, etc., compared to other crypto communities. And the fact that the Dash community is starting to become worried about this is kind of a telling sign of there hasn't been enough communication. All you can just say is, hey, I'm waiting on MasterCard. They haven't told me anything. Sorry, guys, I'm doing my best. And then people shut up. But there hasn't been that. And what irritates people is not just the lack of information, is then you go check Charlie's tweet stream, and then there's a bunch of stuff saying, oh, Bitcoin Cash is a terrible altcoin. Yeah, you guys suck. You know, like, he's clearly got time to communicate with people.
Well, he said he was going to communicate. Yeah, he said he was going to give updates, and he hasn't. And he did some on Slack, and then everybody said, no, go to the Dash forum where you had the pre-proposal and give updates. He said he was going to give weekly updates. He hasn't done it. I would be happy with monthly updates.
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually been 18 weeks and 1 day.
The thing is, understanding goes both ways, obviously. And when the Dash network has paid someone to deliver a product and they haven't, and they're being very lackadaisical about communicating why, at the same time as they're tweeting out all kinds of things about other things, which, you know, no disparagement to that, right? People are free to communicate however they want in whatever way. People have opinions. They got spare time. But when you have spare time to communicate and you won't do a quick tweet about, hey guys, it's taken longer than expected, sorry, it's not on my way, and I'll let you know as soon as I have news. That's literally all you have to do. It's a basic respect and courtesy. And that didn't happen until I sent out a tweet and I got a bunch of people. So at 8 retweets so far. Let me check the stats, but yeah, it's like 8 retweets so far. And once you got a little bit of heat going on there, then all of a sudden there's time for an update. An update saying I don't have, 1,287 impressions.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit I'm going to say not fair to the Dash community to operate like that. That you do not give updates, even an update saying you don't have an update.
And we need an escrow or some kind. Yeah, escrow would light a fire.
So,
by the way,
I just want to
the legal structures coming up.
Well, really quickly, we've talked about how can we change this structure, this pay half up front, pay all this and stuff. And those are all great. I love that conversation, but we got to remember that this still has to all be done pragmatically. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, it's cool that this is how it should be, and we should pay 50% up front, and there should be some triggering mechanism to do this and blah, blah, blah. But you guys got to remember, we have to actually build that. So how do you build that? How do we build some multi-sig escrow thing that 3 people can sign to get it? And, you know, like, that's going, just a sec there, Mr. Hand Holder. So these conversations, they need to start, because before we can actually build it, we have to have the conversations. So it's great to hear the conversations, and I'm excited to see where they go, and we'll get to Hand Holder in a second. But it's just that we need some time to evolve these things, and then the people who aren't programmers need to remember that all the stuff you just talked about still has to be programmed, and we have to figure out a way to shoehorn it into a blockchain. Oh, crashing.
Yes, of course.
And yeah,
and my final thought
Evan's
on
talked
that
about it. It's in the evolution, isn't it? Isn't that? Well, I want to say Sentinel. Evan talked about how we would do that. I mean, it's been a year or so ago. It's in the words.
For sure. Well, and Sentinel's already in the code. I just wanted to make the point that it's really easy to talk about all these things and say, oh, you should just do this and this and this, and it's entirely different to like push a fork that allows you to do those things, and we keep an immutable blockchain, and there's only one of them.
Yeah.
Because
well,
every time you do these major changes, you can have 10 blockchains, right? Or
of course. That's the thing, is there's also non-technical solutions to this. For example, I was very interested and to a certain extent impressed with the quarterly conference call from Core that was talking about establishing a Swiss trust for some kind of legal framework around the Dash network as a whole, and about allowing contractors to contract with the Dash network legally, right? Entering into legally binding contracts with them. And I mean, I would prefer everything to be done on a code basis. But in the meantime, that sounds okay, that if you have a structure to where you engage with the Dash network for something, if you can enter into a legally binding contract, then I mean, at least it's some kind of legal protection, right? If you don't deliver,
going to have to be a yearly proposal, because just the time to get it all set up and have the people fly to sign and everything would just be, you wouldn't be able to do it for monthly stuff. So we would have to change some of the, like, it just wouldn't be realistic for you to do that, to be able to, like, again, I love that idea. I want to be a part of that. I want to know how I can do that in Canada and help Canadian entrepreneurs that want to get involved in Dash have the resources to do it. But I'm still struggling, like, if I want to make the Masternode network a partner in a business, how do I do that? Like, who's going to accept those shares?
This is one of those
who's doing that?
Examples of. This is one of those examples of what's different. What's cool about Dash is these are some really hardcore ideas and questions, right? These are some really. This isn't just, oh, how do we make the immutability of this and the code go to that? It's just like, this is what works with humanity. This is how humanity interfaces with the technology.
We should get to Mark, because he had his hand up for a while too.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, I'm glad we're able to work these kinds of things out and not just hate on each other, right? To actually work out the serious questions that cryptocurrency is going to have to face at some point.
Yeah, I was going to help Jeff out there actually, but why we actually have the luxury of having Jeff with us. One thing that I would like to ask you is go fishing. Is that in the summary call, none of us expected this, but they said that the proposal fees are going to come down. Have you had any inside intel, or can you expand on that more? Or do you know, have you got any juicy gossip? Come on, Jeff, tell us something.
Oh, the juicy gossip we get to hear. God, when did I find out about Kraken? That was a tough one to hold. So I don't have any juicy gossip that I can share.
But the proposal fee, like, it's going down. Was it going to be like one Dash, or is that still being discussed?
You know, I think we just want to wait for the GitHub commits to see what actually happens and what actually goes. But I think it's clear that the message has gotten through, and it's just finding the right balance right now. Because a lot of people don't appreciate, you know, protecting the Masternode owners from the spamming. You know, we haven't had a big whale yet. Just, you know, I'm waiting for some guy to just have so much Dash that he wants to put in proposals. Just what should I name my kid? Should I feed my dog this? Like, just funny trolling things. Like that hasn't happened yet. But when it does, we're going to appreciate the fact that it's $1,000 fee. So the guy's got to be pretty rich to ask these questions.
Exactly. How can it be a global solution? You know, we want it to be a global solution, but we want it to be open to everyone, right? So I think what it comes down to is what kind of dollar amount, because we've all kind of got used to the 200 number. And as you say, at the moment, it's kind of like $1,000. So it comes down to finding that happy medium of that has that accessibility for people all around the world to submit proposals, yet works as a barrier to have.
But I think that it's going to be a paradoxic thing, though, because if you open it up to those people that want to do the little things, you might just close it out. Like if I'm a business that wants to do a $2 million proposal with Dash, like I don't care about $1,000 fee or whatever. Like so I just fear that all these people that want this fee lowered aren't thinking big enough and aren't thinking, what if we want to work with a government, or what if we want to work with, no, we don't. Sorry, that was dumb. Forget I said. What if we want to just scratch that, go back. What if we want to work with the Rotary Club, like, you know, Rotary.org, biggest, you know, international charitable organization. What about that? You know, that. Why can't that happen, right? So
Dash Force, there's other entities. I talked with Jim, I can't think of his last name, Bursch.
Yes.
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday. Yeah, the Fun Channel. And I reached out to him yesterday and told him, we've talked about it internally, that, you know, he's raising Dash. I told him, you look, if you find a good project and you can raise 2 Dash, then bring it to us and let us know. And then we may come back and say, yeah, we kind of like it. Why don't you raise a 3rd Dash, and then Dash Force will chip in the other 2 Dash. We've also talked with, I've talked with Bill Tong about his thing doesn't look like it's going to pass. But I talked to him about, you know, maybe the highest rated, you know, the top 3 highest rated proposals under 250 that Dash Force can pay for those, anything under 250 or the top 3. And then if there's more expensive things, that the masternode should be involved with, anything over like 250 or 500 that we want the masternodes to have a say in, then Dash Force can help sponsor the fee. So there are other options. Yeah,
I think there's some avenues there. Like it's just no different than some of the businesses, you know, that I've done work for in the past will be on an agreement where if there's an expense under $5,000, you can just go ahead and do that without having to get everybody's signatures and authorizations and stuff. It's just an understanding. And I think I'd rather see like a sub DAO type organization, like what was attempted with that Dash Treasury, come out to support the small guys than I would lowering the whole fee for the entire network just so that some more people can get in. And I'm just speaking as me personally, because honestly, if you ask me, I'd say raise the fee. I wanted to see it like 10 Dash or something.
Wow.
But that's just,
you want to see Dash Force kind of crumble then, huh?
No, I don't. What I want to see is I want to see very large projects like, let's, you know, if Rotary can get rid of polio, why can't we end water shortages in the world? Like, I want to see that. I don't want to see like 20 more people giving paper wallets at some meetup. So it's just a different level. And I'm not saying anybody's right, you know, but if you ask me personally, I'm fine with the fee how it is now. I wouldn't want to see it go down. I can understand the reasoning for it, but that's just me personally. And what Core does, you know, we'll wait for that to play out, and we'll wait for those things to happen. But you know, so far they've done a really good job curating everything, and I'm quite confident that they'll make the right decision.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, for myself, at least, I have to get going now. So I don't know if you guys want to continue on without me.
I'll wrap it up. I think it'd be fair.
All right,
Jeff. I hope you've enjoyed being, and I hope you'll come on again, like Chuck last week. We love having you guys on from Core. We want more. Whether it's just talking about news, topical issues, thoughts, and things. Like all 3 of us, we all have individual points of views, and we play good cop, bad cop all the time. So. Right. Thank you, guys. I know we went over schedule once again, but thank you for watching and tuning in. So I understand from the guys there's a big fight tomorrow night. So you heard it from Brian's mouth yourself. If you know someone that is going to that fight, and if they hold up a Dash banner, whether it's of a QR code or whatever, there might be some free Dash in it for you. Exactly. Yeah. So get involved, make it happen. Brian, would you like to add to that and leave some final thoughts?
This is one of my favorite episodes so far. I mean, MMA. Only thing you could add is cannabis, and then I'd be like a kid in a candy store. But yeah, it's excellent.
Weed, man. Well, yeah. Yeah, I can't add anything on that front. I'm sorry.
You Americans, Canadians, guns, hunting, it's just all alien to me. It sounds like
guns and weed.
Fun, though. Yeah,
well, hey,
as well.
Can I get a liter of cola for a clock?
So, I mean, I live in New Hampshire where it's a constitutional carry state, which means anyone can just buy a gun from another person and anyone can just shove it down their pants, cover it with their shirt, and there's no permit or licensing or anything. And it's one of the safest spots in the whole world. So anyway, just leave you with that for a little bit. Just you guys should come down and you people from
whitetail hunting.
That is old Limey Land and Kanukistan got to come down here and experience what true freedom's like, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Jeff, one final thing. Are you coming to the London conference? Everyone was looking at the forum post today, and I think it said, was there like 6 core team members or something going, I believe?
Yeah, I don't believe I'll be attending London. There's a lot of guys that are much closer than me that would make more sense. I've been attending most of the North America events that I've been able to get to. And I think the next one will be in Vegas, the October weekend there, Money 2020. So yeah, I don't think I'll make London. I think, it's time for some of the other guys that haven't had that opportunity yet to get in there and really show. We got some crazy new talent, and it's making me feel old. I'm not gonna lie.
It's very good to hear.
Well, thanks again for joining us, and thanks everyone for listening in. It's been a great time. Every Friday, 3 p.m. EST, you're gonna get to see us happy, fun people talk about all kinds of stuff and live tweet things, etc., etc. So thanks again for joining in, and I hope to see you next week.
See you later, everyone.
Peace.
Bye.
Laters. See you next week.